Hi, Founder fans, Jason here. Today we are continuing our series on the Anti-Federalist Papers and continuing to discuss Federal Farmer, this time observation number 9. Now, this Anti-Federalist paper is focused on diluting power as a way to make sure the common person is represented. Now, first, the Federal Farmer discusses the three types of politicians as this person, who again is probably Melanchthon Smith, but we're not certain, as far as they're concerned. There are three types of politicians. First, members of the natural aristocracy. Natural aristocracy was something common phrase during the American founding. Basically what we today would call the elite. They were seen as a natural part. In a free country, people will naturally, some will do better than others. They will succeed more. They will become part of big families that are very powerful. It just always has happened, and they presumed always would happen. And politicians are always going to come from these families. That's why, as we discussed last week, talking about Federal Farmer number 8, that's one of the benefits of having a House of Lords and nobility, is you could make it official, and things are nice and clean. Now, that aside, in addition to the natural aristocracy, there were what the Federal Farmer called popular demagogues. Now, popular demagogues are the type of characters, according to the Federal Farmer, who were not from the natural aristocracy and didn't necessarily have any great ideas or vast wealth. They were just real good talkers, and they could talk a lot of people into a lot of things. These were another type of figure that we had to be very cautious about, and even though they weren't part of the natural aristocracy, they kind of fit better with the natural aristocracy because they have the support of a lot of people. Then there's the third type of person. Now, I'm going to do a little quote here, who the Federal Farmer calls the substantial and respectable part of democracy, who are often overlooked. Essentially, the people who should be our leaders. People who are smart and intelligent and well-researched, know how to get things done, who never make it to the national stage. And he says this is largely, they will usually hold positions in their local communities, but they don't have the notoriety or the wealth or really the fast talk and wit to get their abilities known on a grander stage. And this is what leads the Federal Farmer into discussing, again, as he's done many times in the past, the number of people in the House of Representatives. These are the type of people, the substantial, respectable part of the democracy that we do want in the House of Representatives, representing the people from which they come. But when there's so few positions in the House of Representatives and the United States Senate, well, it's the same type of elites, the natural aristocracy and the political demagogues, who are going to be getting all of those positions, because if it's one person for every 30,000 people, a person who's really good at what they do might be known to even 5,000 people at the time or today. But being known to 5,000 people doesn't necessarily mean you're known to 30,000 people, or at least the 15,001 people you would need to vote you in to the House of Representatives. And this is what the Federal Farmer sees as a limitation. Now, for this and many other reasons, the Federal Farmer says there should be a lot more people in the House of Representatives. There should be a much larger group. The number of representatives per person should be smaller, as they say. It shouldn't be one for every 30,000 people. He doesn't say an exact number, but he's saying more like one out of every 10,000 people would be my guesstimate to what his inclination was at the time. Now, this would be vastly superior, because we would get more regular people in whose interests are more closely associated with the general public, is with more people in the House of Representatives, it means each person in the House of Representatives has a little bit less power, because the power, as I came up with next to me, that's my quote, not his, the power is diluted the more people you put there. And if the power is diluted, well, then the elite, the natural aristocracy, and the political demagogues, those fast talkers, they're not going to want to be in the House of Representatives. It's not going to suit their private interests. It's going to be seen as a waste of their time, as opposed to the general public, who will see it as an opportunity to help their country and themselves, because they can go back to their small community and say, look, I did a great job representing you. Now I can have a little more power and influence in my local community. Maybe one day my children can be part of that natural aristocracy. And that, in an extreme nutshell, is a very long paper Federal Farmer number 9. I hope you enjoyed this video, learned a little something. If you did, definitely hit like. And if you're new here, please subscribe. I put out videos about the American Revolution 7 days a week. Plus, we have a live wrap-up on Thursdays, trivia on Fridays, lots of fun stuff. Would love to have you join. My name is Jason, and I'll be back with another founder for you tomorrow.